Tabe Korobin. She found a lost dog, then the messages started, and 4 weeks later, strangers at a park were calling her a monster. Welcome back to Story Drop. I found this one buried in a thread last night, and I genuinely could not decide who was right, so you guys are going to help me out. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's what happened. It's a Sunday in February, and a girl I'm gonna call Maya is out walking when she spots a dog just loose in the street. No one around, nobody chasing it, just a dog wandering. And here's the detail that matters. This dog has a leash on it. A leash. Dragging on the ground. But no name tag, nothing on the collar telling her who it belongs to. So Maya does the good person thing. She catches the dog, gets it safe. And the first thing she thinks is, okay, somebody is probably panicking about this little guy right now, so let me help them find him. She posts it to one of those lost dogs pages on Facebook, you know the ones. Somebody's always losing a dog, somebody's always finding one, everybody's tagging everybody. She puts up where she found it and basically says, hey, is this yours? And someone comments with the usual next steps, take it to a vet, check for a chip, all of that. But one line in that comment stuck with her. And honestly, it would stick with me too. The comment said, if you give the dog to the wrong person, you can be held legally liable. Read that again. If you hand this dog to the wrong human being, you could get sued. So now Maya isn't just trying to be nice now, she's a little scared because she wants to do right by the actual owner, but she does not want to hand a living animal to some random stranger and end up in legal trouble. So okay, hold on, I have to stop here for a second, because right away this is a bigger deal than it looks. She's not being difficult. She's got a dog with no tag, no chip, and a warning in her head that giving it to the wrong person could blow up her whole life. Keep that in mind because everything she does next comes from that fear. Alright, back to it. She takes the dog home for the night, feeds it, keeps it safe. And she waits to see who reaches out. Less than 24 hours later, she gets a message. But it's not from the owner. It's from someone claiming to be the owner's neighbor. I'm just going to call this person the neighbor because that's the whole identity we get. The neighbor says, my friend is at work right now, but she told me I could come pick the dog up. And Maya's guard goes straight up because, in her words, she grew up in the stranger danger age. So, a random person she's never met messaging to say, hand me that animal. My friend said it's fine, trust me. Yeah, no. So Maya pushes back. She says, okay, then have the actual owner contact me directly. Simple. If it's really their dog, the owner can just send one message. And the neighbor goes, well, she's working out of state. She has no signal. She'll message you the second she gets back. So already, every time Maya asks for the one thing that would prove this, the answer is some reason it can't happen right now. Then the neighbor tries to prove it another way. They tell Maya the dog's name. Like, see, I know its name, so it's obviously ours. So Maya calls the dog by that name, and the dog does not react at all, doesn't look up, doesn't come, nothing. Okay, wait, I have to jump in. That part got me. Because that's the moment where, if this were a movie, you'd be yelling at the screen. She says the name, and the dog just stares at her like, who? That is not a small thing. But Maya keeps it fair. She says, okay, do you have pictures? And she asks for a specific kind of picture. She wants a photo with a person in it. Someone she can actually meet so she can match a face to the dog. That's smart. That's really smart. The neighbor sends pictures, and here's the problem. The dogs in the photos look similar, sure, but there's no person in a single one of them, and not one of them shows the leash. The exact leash Maya found on the dog, nothing. So instead of proof, the neighbor pivots to feelings. They start telling Maya about how their kid cried all night. Cried and cried about losing the dog, which, look, if it's true, that's genuinely sad. But notice what's happening. Every time Maya asks for something solid, she gets a story instead. So just so we're all clear here, because I keep having to remind myself this is real. A stranger she's never met is demanding a dog, can't get the owner to send one message, name a dog that doesn't know its own name, and sent photos with no people and no leash. And Maya still is trying to give this dog back. That's the part that gets me. She's not keeping it out of spite. She's terrified of handing it to the wrong person. So she decides to bring in someone official. Maya calls the police. Not 911, nothing like that, just the regular line for advice. She explains the whole thing and asks, "What do I even do here?" And they tell her to contact the shelter. But the shelter's closed until tomorrow, so she waits. Next day, she calls the shelter first thing, and the shelter gives her actual guidance. They say try to find the owner if you can. Hold on to the dog for now because we are completely double booked and have no room. So Maya tells them, "Look, I think I might have found the owner, or at least someone claiming to be connected to them, but I'm scared of getting sued," and the shelter gives her the perfect solution. They say if you got a suspect, have them meet you here at the shelter. We'll verify who really owns the dog, and that way nobody gets charged any fees. Clean, official, everybody protected. This is great, right? This solves everything. Maya messages the neighbor and says, "Hey, can you meet at the shelter tomorrow so we can sort this out properly?" And the neighbor goes, I'll let you know when I'm off work." 2 days go by, nothing, so Maya follows up. "Do you still want to meet?" And here's the reply, word for word. This is the energy. The neighbor says, "You're making a big deal out of giving me the dog. My friend, the owner, will contact you next week." Okay, hold on. I have to stop. You're making a big deal. She offer you a free, no fee official meetup at a shelter where all you have to do is show up and prove it's your dog. That's it. And your answer is, ugh, why are you being so difficult? My invisible friend will call you eventually. If you actually lost your dog, you were showing up at that shelter in 5 minutes flat. Let me tell you what I would have done here, and honestly, it's the same thing Maya did. I would have said the shelter door is open, the meeting costs you nothing, so either you come prove it or we're done. Because a real owner runs to that meeting. A real owner doesn't schedule it for next week. What would you guys have done? Because to me, that one text told the whole story. And then here's the thing the shelter told Maya that changes everything. They told her that if nobody claims the dog after 2 weeks, legally, the dog is hers. 2 weeks. That's the rule. So now the clock is running, and the neighbor knows there's a free meeting on the table, and the neighbor just doesn't take it. So Maya waits. And she doesn't just sit there. She takes care of this dog like it's already hers, because at this point it basically is. She's walking it 3 miles a day, every single day she's playing with it. She goes out and buys it a whole pile of stuff, food, toys, all of it, because she's been completely ghosted. Oh, and the dog chews up her furniture too. She doesn't even count that in the list. She just quietly eats that cost. 4 weeks pass, 4 weeks. The Dewey deadline came and went a long time ago. And in all that time, the real owner never once sent a message, never called, never showed up at the shelter, nothing. Then, out of nowhere, the neighbor pops back up and asks, "Hey, what did you do with the dog?" And Maya tells him the truth. The shelter said it's mine now. So I found it a good new home. And right after that, a whole new person texts her, someone she's never talked to. This person asks, "Do you have my dog?" and sends 3 photos, the same 3 photos, the exact ones the neighbor sent weeks ago. No person, no leash, just the same 3 pictures passed around like a receipt. And Maya says, "No, I don't have your dog." Because by then she genuinely didn't. She'd waited past every deadline, done everything the shelter and the police told her to do, and moved on. Now here's where it gets rough. 3 months later, 3 whole months, Maya's at a dog park, and she runs right into them, the family. And the dog she rehomed is there too. The dog is happy, wagging, excited, thrilled to see these people. The kids are crying, and a crowd of strangers who don't know a single thing about the last 3 months start piling on, telling her to give the dog back, calling her a bad person, right there in the park. And after everything she went through, every ignored message, every skipped meeting, every deadline they blew past, she refused. And that's where it ends. With a happy dog, crying kids, and a crowd of strangers deciding she's the villain. Okay, so here's my honest take. and I want to be fair because I do feel for those kids, and if that dog really was theirs at some point, that's genuinely sad. That part I won't pretend isn't real, but Maya did everything right. She didn't snatch a dog off the street and run. She posted it publicly. She called the police. She called the shelter. She offered a free meeting more than once where all they had to do was show up and prove it. And every single time they gave her a reason it couldn't happen. Working out of state, no signal. I'll let you know when I'm off. My friend will call next week. You're making a big deal out of it. You don't do that with a dog you love. When you love that dog, you show up. So, no, I don't think she's the bad person here. I think she waited longer than most people ever would, and the people crying at that park had 4 weeks in a free shelter meeting to fix this, and they picked next week over their own dog. But I need to hear it from you guys. If you were standing in that park, dog wagging, kids crying, strangers glaring at you, would you have handed it back or would you have held your ground like Maya did? Tell me below, because I really am split on this one. And if this got you, the story sitting on your screen right now is another one where doing everything by the book still made someone the villain, and that one's even messier. Go hit it. See you there?